Let me be clear with this, and to be frank, it's not a woman the problem. Probably you are extremely tired of how is the actual society and our civilization, where it is going. As everyone else, probably you are tired of the system and how they treat men, how the elite in the power is destroying everything that we know and is trying to enslave us using technology. But and especially for everything that it seemed to stem from women rights, from women privilege that they have extremely from this sexism that we are living on the current society. But it's not that. It's not the feminist movement. Even if the feminism is a Trojan horse made by elites in order to destroy us, in order to enslave us, in order to do the change they wanted to, they hijacked our society and introduce everything that could enslave and destroy us, but they raped it into envelope of women rights, of women defenses less. Sorry, I'm not talk on English. I'm naturally or my home language is Spanish, so sorry for that. But I'm trying to mean that the envelope was the vulnerability of the woman, the natural vulnerability of the woman, and they should use that. We as men are hardwired to try to save women and children, to protect them, to provide for them, and the elite know that we have that instinct, so they use that against us. That's correct. The elite is trying to enslave us and destroy us. That's non-questionable and non-negotiable. Non-negotiable with this point, with this talking point. I will not bend on that. Okay? But it's not the cause. They only see, and watch at us. Watch at the human being, especially the male behavior. And they use that in order to gain power. Because what we are saying in the society, in the current civilization, in the current day, yes, it's the decay of the Occident that Europe and the United States constructed and created around the world. The world. That civilization, the European civilization, is decaying. And it's coming to an end. But it's not really the woman the cause of this. They are not the problem. I know that you want to blame them. I know that you are angry. I know that you see what they do and what they has caused to the society. How they really are just learning to work and making extremely hostile the work environment. Extremely. How there are a lot of funny, because they are funny, jobs just made for the woman, in where they only talk all the fucking day. They talk all the day, do nothing, and then they get a lot of money that they are leeching from the efforts of the men working on the very same company, from the very same institute, upon the very same everything in where both men and women work, especially HR, that can be made by a teen of 14, a teenager of 14 years. It's not that complicated, and they should not have that amount of power they have over the companies. That was promoted by the government of the world, of the Occident world, sorry. But that really is just some kind of kindergarten for women. They should not be earning that. They should not be having that much power over the company and over the rest of the population, because the company has that power of the rest of the population. For example, let's use the example of YouTube. YouTube has enforced pretty much censorship and a lot of bad stuff for the freedom of the people, of the freedom of thought, just because the companies that were not run but actually governed by women in HR and marketing and all of that has pushed the social justice warrior agenda. They have done that. They had censored the right political spectrum and everything that they don't like. And that much power comes from people that has no accountability. Women by nature doesn't have that much accountability. They are in need, they are weak, they need to be provided and protected, because in the openness of the world, in the wilderness of the world, they just die. They are extremely dependable of men. Got that? You understand that? You are in accord. I'm sorry, I don't know the term. I lapsed in that in this moment. But I'm trying to say that if you are okay with what I'm saying, if you are agree, sorry, that was the word, agree with what I'm saying. Do you agree? Doesn't matter if you don't. Let me explain in this video. But the problem never were the women. They cause a lot of destroy. If you get, but that's not because they are women. If you let a group of persons, a group of people to do whatever they want and face no consequences, they will become the force of destruction of the very same society that is allowing them to do everything they want with cost-free, without punishment. That could happen to white people, to black people, to Hispanics, to Muslims, to Jews, to everyone that you put above the law. If you do that with women, you are pushing them to become the worst version of themselves. And that is exactly what we have been doing on the Western society for a very long time. And not only in the USA and Europe. That also has been repeated on Latin America, where I live. And I can see that. You could think that if you go to Colombia or Venezuela, no, not Venezuela, right now it's not possible to go to that. if you are from the United States or Europe. But if you go to, I don't know, Peru, Mexico, every country in Latin America, you can find a good girl that has values and is going to treat you well. But let me crush that passport road idea. Those very same women has already been compromised. I'm sorry, it was going to be contagious, but I don't remember how to say it well in this context, so sorry. The virus has spread. The virus of feminism has already spread on all Latin America, on all Western society. Even if we are not the first world, we drink of your culture. We have our own culture. Yes, that's right. We have our own values. They could be extremely strong. Yes, that's reality. That is truth. But that not delete, that not erase the fact that these very same women are seeing TikTok, are seeing social media, are watching TV, and everywhere where you can turn your head to and pay attention, there is a feminist message, and it's truth, it's real. Why this woman tend to treat you well if you are from Europe or USA? That's because for them you are extremely high value men. That's only the only reason. These women are very much of them. A lot, sorry, was the right word. A lot of them are extremely racist, but only for their own race. They really are not racist to black people. They are very not racist to yellow people. They are not very racist to white people. They are only racist to their own brown people. They are like that. Let's face it. Let's not hide it. That is how they behave. And they idolize, I don't remember how to say it, but they put in a pedestal the white male. Even if you are broke, even if you have not much money, because it could be a problem. I'm sorry, I lost the word. It could be the cause could be the money. That's pretty much the cause that you normally will believe it's the problem. You probably will believe that is the very core problem, but it is not. You need only to be white and they already will like you. And that's a truth. Only for your hate, because the Latin American women are really small, really teeny. Only for your hate, as well as the men. Only for your hate, you already are a top tier man for them. If you are white, that makes you pretty handsome on here, so they already select you. But if you add to that money, then you are extremely high value man, because the money in your country doesn't value the same as the very same money on our countries. And that's why they treat you pretty well. But those very same women treat everyone else on their own home country exactly the same. Well, not that deranged way, that extreme as the women in your country treat you. How the USA and European women treat the men. It's not that extreme, but it's not that far. They treat us like shit. And that's a fact. They treat us like shit. They use us. They steal us. They almost enslave us. And anyway, at the end of the day, they just take everything we have and go to the next. We call him Brian. No, it's not the same as Chad. Brian for us are the dogs, the dumbs, the criminals that they love so much. They go to them and get pregnant, and then later they come to us and try to trick us to step up for those childs and for her, for them. And that's a shit. It's exactly what is happening in your countries with your own woman. And I know the women are extremely ungrateful, pampered, and are destroying everything. But this was not created by the woman. Have you seen, or did you know, or if ever in the history the woman had raised and created their own revolution? They die and fight, really fight, endangering their own life to defend their own rights. Women are dependable. They can't do that. They don't have the instincts necessary to start a fight for their own life and freedom. They don't value freedom. They are dependent of men and society. So they will never have the power. They will never have the power to enforce feminism. What people do have that power, have to enforce feminism in our Occidental society? It's simple. Men. What kind of men? The very same kind of men that in other circumstances will die. In all of our history, those very weak men, beta male men, should have to die on wars, on where the moments where there were no food. I'm sorry, I don't remember how to say it in English, but it's where the people start to starve to date with no food, by plagues, by diseases. The human being only in the recent 100 years is living that much with that wealth, because in other times most of the men just die, as I said before, mostly by wars, mostly by lack of food, a shortage of food, most also for not having for diseases and plague, but only after we have developed our industry and a lot of technology that allow us to have a surplus of men, the weak men started to survive. Everything that is happening in our society, it was inevitable. It was the result of the development of our technology that allowed our weakest people to survive, the very same men that in other circumstances will have died in other times. This surplus of men started to compete in the way that the weak men do and always been doing. That is, we call on Spanish rogar. I don't remember how to say it on English. Let me search that because it's important to say the word correctly. Please wait. Rogar. Beg. Sorry, I had lost the I don't remember. I was not remembering the word. It's beg. It's begging. Sorry, I already know the word, but I don't remember that. I don't know why. But okay. The beta male mating or courting strategy is more accurate. That is used to beg to women, as well as provide without requiring anything in return. That's the problem. The women really do select the alpha male, the group, and just please don't go with the stupidity to say something like, no, the science has disproved that there is no alpha male on the human species, that there is no beta male, because we have roles that change across the time and we adapt to the circumstances and the context that we as group and the species have to overcome. Yes, I know that we have not really an alpha male and a group and the rest are the betas, followers. No, it's not like that, I know that. But that is stupid to say in this context. Because we really have a group of, in each group of humans, we have a group that is in power. That group, we can see it even in the high school, even in the kindergarten. We can see that group that leads everyone else, even in the kindergarten. Not only the middle school, I was going to say the middle school, but it comes from even the kindergarten with very teeny childs. So we have the group that leads. That group is what we call the alpha. Yes, they have a leader. That is the real alpha that we can identify as the alpha. But those followers that also has power, that also are the popular ones, those also are considered the alphas. Okay? So, in other pretty similar way as what happened with the wolves, we in other way actually have alphas. And those alphas, because they are in power and because the women are extremely dependable to the group and to men, the woman has to chase the beta male, the alpha males. to get resource and survive. That's why across the millions of years before our species, across our ancestral species, the woman has to develop an instinct to like and chase Tyron and Chad, the alpha males. The aggressive ones, the ones that treat them like shit. Okay? Do you agree? So, in this context, what has to do the beta male to get some action and score with that woman in order to fulfill his function and have child? What he has to do? What he has to do the beta male? Simple. Beg to woman. Provide. Sneak and tell them that they will step up for the chance of the alpha, because the alpha is busy getting pregnant other women, sorry. So the only way that a beta male in our nature has to have the descendancy, has to have child, is just becoming a fucking golem that beg to women, that beg and cry and gives everything he have just for an opportunity to have a pixel of a teeth. That's the beta male strategy. Okay? Now, overlap this or use this model, conceptual model, and apply it to our current society. Do you understand now why we have given women rights? Do you understand now that? Why? And what kind of men were the ones that fought for the woman rights against the other males, the ones that has always survived at the wars, at the, let me find the word, because I trying to say it again and again and again, and I don't remember. It's it's the hunger, famine. Sorry, it was the famine, because I know it as a hunger, but it was the famine. Yes, that was the word that I was trying to search for. Famine. Those men doesn't survive the famine. Those men doesn't survive the war. Those men doesn't survive the environment, the wilderness. Those men doesn't get reproduced. But in our current society, in our advanced technological developed society, are surviving and are trying to get laid using the very same strategies that their own instincts tell them to do. That's the way of the beta male. Those very same men fought with everyone else, with every intelligent man that was at the time, telling and warning us that you don't have to give women rights not without the exact same responsibilities that we as men have. You can't create a group that is over the law, that has all those privileges, that has to be provided and protected, that has no accountability of any kind. So, because if you do that, they warned us at the time. If you do that, you will create monsters that will lash out and destroy society. But the fucking beta males with their erected, let me find the word. Erected, it was really the word. Erected penis, because they were hard on. Because they were hard on. Just fought for the rights of women. Just for the opportunity to fantasize that they will be selected by the very same women that were chosen the strong men into a generation. Those bastards, those monsters, those egotistical, the retarded monsters, those beta male, starting to get power on the academy, and in other times, those guys should have to die. By life, by the hardships of the life, by the wars, by the famine, by the diseases. So that was the problem. That was the very problem. They were the culprits. And that was an inevitable consequence of the technology allowing us that the weak people can live a lot. And they are wreaking havoc. That's the problem. But it had to happen. It cannot be evitable. It was not evitable. It cannot be avoided. It can't be avoided. It had to happen. Because while we are advancing in our technology, while we are going to the fall industrial revolution, and our fourth industrial revolution, the technologies starting to substitute men in the workforce. That never has happened in the history. This very same technology is allowing women, or at least the third revolution, was allowing women to work potentially, not factually, but potentially to work and produce this at the same rate as men. At the very end of the day, that never happened. The women only leached on the workforce of men. They only prioritize what they actually had to prioritize as their own instincts dictate. That is the social group, the social network, the relationship that they could have in the work. Because the woman that was rejected in the Code era and was expelled by the group just died. The woman and their childs, and her children. Their children, was the correct term. So you have to understand that women are hardwired to prioritize the social acceptance. If they don't have that, they fear and face the fear of death. That's why they have to comply to the group. And even if that costs their own individuality and personality, their own freedom, they have to comply. And they, as that fear makes them to enforce the compliance to the rule of the group. Doesn't matter what that rule is. That rule can destroy the very same society that is allowing them to live. But they anyways have to adapt, have to comply, have to enforce that. That's why we can see the feminism protecting criminals and dogs, protecting rapists, because they do that. In Spain and Argentina, you can see the very same feminists that blame the white male are that blame the average male in those populations of everything, but they defend and release the rapists, the murders, the criminals that actually harm them, that actually harm women. You can't understand that contradiction if you don't see that they had to comply to the group, because they fear if they don't do that, them and their children will die. That's ingrained and hardwired on the core as humans, as females. Okay? That was the problem. So they are not accountable, and our ancestors or great grandpas warned us about that, but the fucking beta males that started to live longer than before, than never in the history had happened, those very same beta males, bastards, has fought for the rights of those women, in order to fantasize that we'll get alive for a pixel of teeth, something like that. I know that they don't have that technology at that time, but you know that was the idea, for the least amount of approval of women. That's what they are fighting for. They were fighting for at the time, and they actually are doing the same. The beta male are done exactly the same. But it was inevitable by the nature of the beta male. It had to happen. The elites used that to take more power for them. They just studied the human nature and used that to grab more power. That's all. But it had to happen, because at the same rate we get more, we develop more the technology that allow us to live longer and to work less extreme, less I don't know, let me search the word. Okay, with less effort, with a lot of less effort, and women can start to work exactly because of that. And women can start to work at the same rate of productivity, potential, at the same rate of productivity as men do. Then we have to adapt and allow women to work and to adapt and become, and that's the important part, become independent. They had to become independent at the time. But the fucking beta males don't allow them to do that. They step it up. They steal the resources from others and create laws to give the woman free money, free everything. They were the problem, not the woman. They, the beta males. So the woman had to become independent. The woman had to be able to produce something in order to get prepared for what is going to come. That is the total independence from the work that the humanity has never reached before. The robots will substitute use in the workforce. The woman at the time when the robots had substituted the forced labor should have at the time, or they should have at the time, total independence and freedom. They should have the capacity to create something and sell that using the technology, using the robots. They should have that in order to allow the society to function. This was part of what had to be, that I had to come. But the feminism and the beta males don't allow it. That's why we are heading full force and using our head. Head front, and full force to the techno-feudalism, in where we will have tech overlords that oversee everything with artificial intelligence and dictates how we have to live and constrain what we can eat, what we can do, and that we can even think. The women will cherish for that, because they have demonstrated that even if they have all the tools needed to produce everything with that much of effort, they will not are willing to do that. They are not even capable to understand reality. They aren't even capable to understand what are the consequences of their own acts. And probably in other times, maybe our grandmas will have that capacity, but the actual current modern women don't. They don't. Because the beta male has created a system that doesn't allow them to learn accountability of any kind. And that's an extreme problem. And that will enforce that someone get to lead the humanity. And those will be the ones that have the power. In this case, the own ones that control the robots. That's what we are going to see. That's why the techno-feudalism is inevitable. It could be evitable if the governments start to regulate and control the techno-feudal lords, as the Jeff Bezos, I lost the name. The one of the Microsoft, that monster that created Microsoft. I'm sorry, I lost it. I don't remember the name. The one of Starlink. I'm sorry. Let me tell you this. I'm extremely. I want to explain you just 1 minute why I tend to don't remember some words and some people when I talk in English. In order to record these videos, I have to turn on my big PC, my desktop PC. It's a pretty big one, and I'm extremely vulnerable to the Bluetooth waves, as well as the Wi-Fi waves. I don't know why, but if I turn on that thing and I'm using the Bluetooth as well as the Wi-Fi, I feel extremely bad and starting to stop remembering things that in other in other moments I can't. It's strange. I actually feel pain, real pain in my body. But I have noticed that using ARM that doesn't happen, but I don't know exactly why. I also have to cap my Wi-Fi to 2.5 gigahertz, because if I turn on the 5 gigahertz, I really can't stand the Wi-Fi. I really have to get out of the room, get out even of the house. I don't know why. I'm extremely sensible to those waves. But okay, let's continue. Sorry for that. But that is the very reason, because I start to remember something that everyone knows as the name of the one that created basically Microsoft, as well as the one that is running Sterling. Their names are constantly on the news, on the media. I really know pretty well their names, but at this moment I don't know why I can't remember them. But I attribute that to the fact that I'm feeling bad, because I had to turn on the big PC in order to do this stream. Or I was trying to say, no, not stream, to record this video. Okay, let's continue. Okay, those overlords. It could be evitable if the governments use control and take the power of those enterprises, those I'm sorry, let me search the word. Business? Yes, business. Of those business. Say empresa. Enterprise. Yes, that is the word enterprise. Sorry, it is enterprise. I was right from the start. Okay. those business, those enterprises. But we know they will not do it. We know that one of the in the top of the business of the enterprises of the companies, that was the word that I was searching for, companies of the companies will be the ones in power, and they will dictate and control the world, because they actually will dictate and control the military force that the robots will have. And don't get me wrong, it will not happen in a way that you will not notice it. It will not be noticeable, but it will happen. Unfortunately, women will cherish and try to push for that, because they doesn't care anything about how to make a society that can sustain by themselves. They only care about what they can get from the society, to get protected from the society, to get their own needs fulfilled by that society. They don't care about the society, they only care about what they can get provided by that society. Do you understand that? Do you agree? That's their own nature, their own instinct. The women only care of the society they are on. At the very moment that that society isn't working and isn't providing, isn't capable to provide for them, only in the time that the society is affecting them directly, then and only then they care. That's the problem. That's why they don't have to. They should not have privilege and even some rights, as voting rights. They should not have the right to vote, because they are not responsible in the society. If they had been taught responsibility and accountability, then okay, actually they can vote, because they can see the big picture of what is going to happen, because they had the knowledge of what are the consequences of not taking care of the society, of someone taking out our freedoms, especially the freedom of speech, because that starts the taking out of the freedom of everything else. If you take out the freedom of speech, eventually you're going to take out the freedom of action, and the freedom of assembly, and the freedom in the last place of thought. And you can see the government's trying to do that right now in the current time, in real time, especially in the UK, in Australia, in Canada. That also happening even in Mexico, in United States too. Okay, in Mexico it's happening because the Soros of the world are trying to force that, using dumb people that don't understand what they are doing. Those people those politicians that are trying to enforce that doesn't know the consequence of everything, doesn't understand what they are trying to do. They don't get any power or any gain from doing that, but they are trying to do it anyway, because they were told by the Soros Foundation, by the Soros of the world, by the BlackRock of the world. That's why they are doing that. At least I give you that. If they were aware how much they are going to destroy their own liberty and freedom, they will not do that in Mexico. They will not support the state of extreme vigilance. But anyway, they are doing it. So we know where it is going to, but it was inevitable. What I'm trying to say with this video, the reason why I make this video is just to tell you that this was inevitable. It was part of the ordeal that has to face humanity when they are developing, or because they are developing their own technology that allows them to become extremely high technology society, that allows them to not work, that allows them to using robots, create everything they want, using artificial intelligence, create everything they desire and they want without having to work 18 hours a day, 13 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 8 hours a day, a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week, and even less. When the men and the people are be substituted by robots, then we have to extremely adapt at those circumstances in where no one work. At that point, the woman should have the freedom of mind, the capacity, and the willing to provide for themselves. But that is not in their nature. That is something that the society should enforce. To be responsible, to be accountable, to depend only on themselves. But that is not what is happening. And that's why the world is in a chaos. It could be better. The adoption of the artificial intelligence as well as the robots could be less painful. The development of this high technological society could be less extreme, could take a lot of more time, and the feminism, what the thing that actually has been doing and has done in our world is just speed up this process of change. It's speed up by a lot. A process that should have taken along 30 years, 40 years, they had speed up in record time, in just a couple of years. The social structures and change. If there's no feminism, if there's not this shit of progressive in here, they're taking everything, then it will have to take a lot of time before the males accept the robo waifus, before the males accept the IA waifus and later the robo waifus, to accept the change. They will have, in other circumstances, protect the woman for a while longer time before adopting their competence. Competence. This was the right word. Let me see if it's that. Competition. Sorry, it was the competition. In order to accept the competition, and that will have protected the woman for a longer time. But the feminism speed up that process, and right now, with the artificial intelligence we have, that is not pretty good, that it only trick us because it seems a little real. The men are ditching women and are starting to, the young men, and starting to have their affection need fulfilled by the EA, by the artificial intelligence. And that is something that I was not expecting. I thought that the process will take about 10 years, but it's not taking about 10 years. It's taking about 2-3 years. What will happen when the robot waifus becomes a reality? They are becoming a reality right now. They are starting to launch their first robots, extremely thin robots that where you can put artificial skin on them and make them the robot waifus we all cherish on and want to and wait for. They are already in this 25 on this 2025 year have that technology. We already have that. What will happen in the next 3 to 5 years when the robot waifus become affordable for the average man? This is going to broke woman as never seen before. And as I told you before, the problem is not the woman. The problem was the beta males that in other time had to die. But right now, they are surviving and wreaking havoc because they try to fulfill their needs. And they don't know how to act as a alpha male. They are weak. They only know how to beg, how to take care and step up for the child of the alpha males, how to give them and promise them and destroy everything in order to provide for the woman, to steal everything from others and destroy society in order to provide for women, in order to get the opportunity to fantasize that they're going to get laid. That is the problem. That is the very problem. We should have to know that the beta males were going to do that. We should, at the time, our grandpas should have to punch in the face those intellectuals of the left that were trying to give privilege to women. It's our grandpas blame and grandpas blame. We also have the same blame in us, to us, because we don't punch those fucking freaking bastards that were always saying that the women are perfect, that the women are light beings that has no flaws, that are incapable to do wrong, that they are incapable to do bad things. We have to punch them. We have to make them shut up, to never say those extremely harmful things at the time, but we allowed them, even if they outnumbered us. We have to do that. We never do. The normies take their side. The normies take their side. And what we are saying is the consequences of that. If we have pushed back with more force, probably the situation will be different. But it's not. And anyway, that's a struggle. That's a fight that is meaningless. It was meaningless because the change has to happen. The woman will be replaced by robots also. The men will learn how to work, how to produce more using robots and artificial intelligence, and the woman will have to evade themselves on technology and feel by the virtual reality that they are, and the artificial intelligence that they are being provided. They will have to run to the virtual intelligence and the virtual reality to get at least a little of what the men were giving them for free in all history. Even if that providing is simulated, they will have to, because we men will never choose them again. If there is a extremely beautiful shaped robot that chose you that the average man, the not good looking man, the bad looking man, the unshaped man, the fat man, the not high earned men. Don't you understand now? This was inevitable. But it's not going to be bad for men. It's going to be hell for women. It was hell for men by a very long time, 50 years. It was hell for men. Especially in the last 10 years, it was extremely hell. Right now, it is hell for men. You can't even approach women because you can get thrown in jail. Because the woman can say anything and you are culprit until you prove your innocence, and even if you prove your innocence, you are still guilty to the social court of public opinion. And even if the police don't throw you in jail, the society just can exclude you and take out your job and to capacity to be hired by any company or anyone. So this is hell for us. But in the nanosecond that the robo-waifus become affordable, it's going to be hell for women. And actually, that will never change. While the society if the society has robots and is advanced, developed in technology, this will be permanent. This will not be changed. It only can revert if this civilization regress Only on those circumstances it will be going different. Be going different. The woman of the next generation and the following generations will have to pay the price for every single stupidity that the current women are doing. Every single egotistical reason, every single unpunished act, every single privilege this fucking woman have will be paid by the women of the future. As long as this civilization continues and develops itself in technology, that will be hell from now on to women. So I don't blame them. I don't blame even the current women. I take pity because they without any kind of accountability, they are destroying themselves. I just look at them. I love a lot of them because they are like actually they act like crazy incels. Okay, they get laid, but their behavior is exactly the same as the incels. The average woman is as deranged and crazy as the average incel. It's craziness. It's extreme. I love a lot of things. I tend to laugh a lot at the incels, not because during a lot of time I talked with incels. I try to help them. I try to woke them. Not woke in the sense of woke. Awaken them. That was the word. Awaken them. That they have to not depend on women. They do not have to want them. That they could be happy by themselves. That they have not to suffer because they are not popular. But they don't listen. They are crazy. So I started to laugh at them. Because they're extremely funny. They really are extremely funny fucking incels. And the woman, when you analyze their behavior, is exactly the same as the one of the incels. So for me, women are hilarious. I can love the current woman. I can laugh at them all day because they are funny. They are clowns. Natural clowns. They are lolcos. They act like lolcos. All of them, the modern woman. That is strange. But that's a reality. So I don't blame them. I blame the beta male. But even if I'm not willing to blame the beta males, the ones really responsible on this was a process. This was an ordeal that our society, our species, has to overcome with the advancement and development of the technology. This was part of the process. This was something that it was going anyway to happen. The feminism and the simps just sped it up extremely. The acceptance of the change. It should have to last the acceptance as a process about 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Both feminism and simps and beta males made it instantly accepted. We are right now asking for that change, and the EA isn't even really that good right now. It's not really there, and the robo waifus are not really there, but the young men are dating their EA waifu. So, sorry, but what is come for women is only hell and hell and hell and hell, and it will not stop. Because they can not survive with men, but they will have to learn to survive without being subsidized by men. Because the men, once they are fulfilled, even the fucking beta sims males, then they will not enforce the woman privilege anymore. They will not fight for them. And what will happen? Just think about it for a 5 seconds. What will happen to women when the men no longer fight their fights? Then they will lose everything. Then they will not be protected. They will not be provided. They will have to compete with having the capacity to compete with men. Then they will have to live on extreme poverty, on extreme solitude, and will be in hell because a woman without a man is living on hell. Right now, the state are subsidizing women stealing resources from men, but that will have to stop. The moment the beta males are not willing to fight for women, to enslave everyone else for the well-being of women, then everything will change and the woman will suffer as never seen before. So I don't blame them, and please, after hearing this, don't blame women. They are not the problem. We are the problem. Poor of them, I pity them. Especially the ones that haven't done anything bad yet. The young ones, the future generations. I pity them. I feel bad for them. But it was inevitable. Unless we stop the development, the advancement, the technology, then we can stop this process. It's part of our adaptation to a high advanced society, technological advanced society. Okay? And that's it. That is what I want to say. Okay, thank you for watching this video. I know that sometimes I'm not talking very well. I know that sometimes I'm not talking that good, but okay, I know that the value of my concepts and thoughts is worth the pain. I know that it's worth it. So please, if you like this, do like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. So if you want me to talk of related topics, just leave a comment and I will read you, and perhaps I will do later a video talking about that. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching this and have a nice day. Has spoken. 0 from Neurotrollium. See ya.